I can determine the theoretical domain and range of a function. Here's what you need to know. For a theoretical domain and range, you do not consider the situation they represent. You're just looking at the numbers at face value. They don't mean anything. They don't stand for anything. They're not attached to a real life thing. You're just looking at the actual numbers. Here's a reminder of the breakdown of the different types of real numbers. So you have real numbers, which are all of the numbers that can possibly be on your number line, and those are split into your irrational numbers right here, which are ones that you cannot write as a ratio, and then your rational numbers right here that can be written as a ratio. When we break down our rational numbers even further, we get integers, which are your counting numbers and their opposites. You also have whole numbers, which are your positive values, your counting numbers and the value 0. And then your natural numbers are just the counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Your theoretical domain is going to be the set of all of the allowable inputs, all of the values that can be possible for x that your function can take on. And then your theoretical range is the set of all of the outputs that you can possibly have, or all of the y values that your function can produce. Let's do an example. Let's say Gracie has 24 floor tiles from a previous project. She's going to buy more floor tiles from the store. The store only has 8 boxes of the tiles that she needs in stock, and each box contains 10 tiles. The store will not sell a partial box of tiles. The function that models the number of tiles Gracie will have after purchasing would be 10 times the number of boxes that she buys plus 24 from the number of tiles that she started with. B is going to represent the number of boxes that she purchases at the store. Let's find the theoretical domain. You have some choices here. There's a funky word going on in some of your choices, this inclusive. Inclusive just means that you include that value in your answer. So in this choice E, for example, the set of all real numbers from 34 to 104 inclusive means that I'm including 34 and I'm including 104 and everything between them. If we're looking for the theoretical domain, theoretical means you ignore the scenario. You don't care about floor tiles. You don't care about what would make sense in the situation. You're just looking at what numbers you can possibly plug into your function and then what numbers you could possibly get out of your function as a result. The domain means I'm plugging things in. So my function can take any input value. I can plug in whatever I want to for B, and it would be okay. I'm not breaking any rules. I can plug in a fraction, a decimal, a negative number, the square root of something. I can plug in all kinds of things. I could plug in pi if I wanted to, and it would be okay. I might not get an answer that would make sense in the situation, but remember, we don't care about that right now. So the theoretical domain for this problem right here is all real numbers, A. That would be the correct answer for this one because I can plug any number that I want to into my function and I can get some sort of answer. Now you pause and try to figure out the theoretical range. Remember that inclusive means you're including. The range is theoretical, so we are ignoring the scenario. I want to know all of the possible output values that my function can produce. So let's just test a variety of inputs. Plug in some random stuff. I don't care what you plug in, and see what your function produces. Since your theoretical domain is all real numbers, you can plug anything in. That means that you're also going to be able to generate everything. Anything that you want to. You can plug something in to get any kind of output that you would like. So your theoretical domain, this should say range. I have domain written twice. Your theoretical range is also all real numbers. They are both all real numbers for this example. Now let's try to determine the practical domain and range of a function. It's a little bit different. The practical domain and range means that you have to consider the situation that you are representing. That's what the word practical means. It means something that makes sense, something that you need to consider. Your practical domain is going to be all of the inputs or the x values that you can plug into your function, all of the x values that make sense for the situation. Your practical range is all of the outputs that you could get, or all of the y values that would make sense for your situation. Let's look at the exact same scenario, but find the practical domain instead. Remember that practical means we have to consider the actual scenario. So now we're looking at what values of b we could possibly plug into this function. So let's go back and look at the problem. B is going to be the number of boxes that she purchases. Let's go see if there are any constraints on the number of boxes of tiles that she could buy. It says right here that the store cannot sell a partial box of tiles, so I know that B can't be a decimal or a fraction. I don't want part of a box of tiles because that's not possible. The store will not sell that to Gracie. I also know that the store only has 8 boxes of tiles in stock, so she can buy no boxes all the way up to 8 boxes exactly, but she can't go past 8 boxes. So my function can take any realistic value of the number of boxes of tile. She can only buy whole boxes of tile, and the store only has 8, so she can buy 1 and 8 inclusive, anywhere between there. And since it says that she's actually purchasing tiles, we do say that she would buy at least 1 box of tiles. So C would be the correct answer for this one. Pause and try to find the practical range. This should say range. I want to know all of the realistic output values that my function can produce. If I'm plugging in the values 1 through 8, I want to know what my outputs would look like. They're going to be this. When I plug in 1, I get 34 as my answer. When I plug in 2, I get 44 as my answer, and so on. So the answer to this one, if you notice the list of numbers that we're generating, 34, 44, 54, 64, and so on, that matches choice F. Those are the integers that I'm producing as my range. Again, this should say range for this example. These are the values that I'm getting out as my range based off of plugging in the values that I found for my domain. If you want more on this topic, be sure to check out the Learning Target spreadsheet for additional resources, videos, and practice.